Is it too hot or too cold? Can we go outside? Our body and skin can sense temperatures, and this ability helps us to keep safe. But if we want to be really sure what the temperature is today, we can use a thermometer. One of the first devices to measure temperature was invented by a famous Italian inventor and scientist called Galileo Galilei in the 16th century. In his device, glass globes would move up and down in a column of water with changing temperatures. But you could not work out what the temperature actually was using Galileo's thermoscope. When Santorio added a scale to the device in 1612, he had invented the first thermometer. Modern thermometers have electronic sensors or use special liquids that expand with heat. We can tell if someone is ill with a fever if the thermometer shows that they have a high temperature. Your challenge today is to make an air thermometer and use it to do some experiments. For this activity, you will need some plastic bottles with caps, some thin, clear straws or tubes, some wax from a candle or some glue to make a seal, and some coloured water that you can see inside your tube. You could use tea or coffee or cola. For the experiments, you will also need to find some hot and cold places to take your thermometer, and some materials that you might use to keep things warm. So how does an air thermometer work? When the sun, or a source of heat energy, heats up the air trapped in a bottle, the air molecules inside begin to move about and push against the sides and each other. The higher temperature creates a higher pressure in the bottle. By adding some water and a tube to the bottle, you can measure the change in air pressure inside caused by the heat energy. Make a hole in the cap that the tube or straw can just fit through. The tube needs to reach down into the coloured water, and you need to make sure where the straw or tube goes through the cap that it has an airtight seal. You could use wax or glue. As the air molecules begin to warm up and move and push, they push down on the water, which will then rise up inside the tube or straw. The higher it goes, the hotter the air inside is. If your thermoscope is working, we now need to add a scale to make it a thermometer. Find the coolest place that you can find. It may be in the shade or inside, or perhaps near some plants or water. Wait for the water in the tube to stop moving, then use a pen to mark on the straw or the bottle where the water rests. Now look around and find the warmest place. It might be outside in the sun. Wait a minute for the thermometer to stop changing, and then make another mark on the straw for the warm location. You have now added a scale. You can add marks in between at the halfway and quarter points if you want. If your thermometer is not working, check that you do not have a leak. If the air can escape where the straw or tube goes through the cap, try and seal it again. Now it's time for an experiment. You will need a pencil and paper and your World Challenge Club notebook and a stopwatch. An app on a phone would do. Take your thermometer to the hottest place you found and let it heat up. Now start your stopwatch and move to the coldest place you found before. The water in your thermometer should start moving down. When it stops or reaches the cold line you marked before, stop the stopwatch. Keep a note of the time it took for your thermometer to cool down in your notebook. Now let's see if we can make that time longer. Go to the warm location and let your thermometer warm up. Wrap some material that you think will be a good insulator around it. You want to prevent the heat from escaping. Make sure you can remove your insulator quickly. Now start your stopwatch again, then carefully take your insulated thermometer to the cold location you found. After your stopwatch has counted to the time you recorded before in your notebook, remove your insulator and quickly check the temperature on your scale. Did the insulator stop it cooling down as quick? Jot down some of the things that you observed and learned in the experiment. Can you think of any other experiments you could do with your thermometer, or any ways to make it work better? Try them and keep some notes.